You ever have one of those cases that's so big, so twisted, so rooted into the culture of true crime that you almost don't know where to start? That's the West Memphis Three case for me. And maybe now for Angela too, because she just binge watched the entire Paradise Lost series front to back, no breaks, emotional damage included, and came in hot with questions and theories before she even hung her coat up. So today, we're doing something totally different. No multi-part arc, no fully structured breakdown, no forensic deep dive. Not yet. This is just us talking. I have researched this case for years and feel like I know it inside and out. And Angela, who just took her own deep dive, sitting down for a real conversation, trying to make sense of a story that still punches the air out of your chest 30 years later. But for anyone listening who isn't fully steeped in this case, let me give you the quick, essential history so today's conversation actually has a floor underneath it. So in May of 1993, three 8-year-old boys, Stevie Branch, Michael Moore, and Christopher Byers, went missing in West Memphis, Arkansas. The next day, their bodies were found in a drainage ditch in the Robin Hood Hills area. They'd been stripped, hogtied with their own shoelaces, and left in shallow water. At the same time, police with limited major crime experience interpreted parts of the scene as ritualistic, and the investigation veered almost immediately into Satanic Panic territory. And it didn't veer that way by accident. A juvenile probation officer named Jerry Driver had been fixated on a local teen, Damian Eccles, for years. Not because of behavior connected to violence, but because Damian dressed in black, liked heavy metal, and showed an interest in things Driver thought looked occult.
Oh, and had tattoos.
Yeah, and he had tattoos. Yeah. He had built a mental file on Damian long before the murders ever happened. So when the boys were found, Driver went straight to the police with his suspect. From that moment on, Damian was locked in as the focus. Jason Baldwin, age 16, got pulled in with him, and then there was Jesse Miskelly, 17 years old, intellectually vulnerable, who ended up giving a confession after hours of largely unrecorded interrogation, a confession full of errors and contradictions that didn't line up with the timeline at all. But that confession became the backbone of the case. No physical evidence tied the teens, Damian, Jason, or Jesse to the crime. None. And when DNA testing finally happened years later, none of their DNA appeared on the victims or the ligatures either. In fact, the only hair that could be associated with anyone belonged to a victim's stepfather and another man, neither of which matched the West Memphis Three. But by then, the trials were over. Jesse was convicted. Damian and Jason were convicted in a joint trial. Damian was sentenced to death. Fast forward almost 2 decades. After massive public pressure, new forensic reviews, and countless investigative revelations, the three men took an offered plea in 2011, meaning they maintained their innocence but legally acknowledged that the state had enough evidence to convict. They walked out of prison after 18 years behind bars, but they were never exonerated. Their names are still technically tied to those murders. And that's why this case isn't over, not even close. Because here we are in late 2025, and after years of legal battles, lost evidence, and state stonewalling, a judge finally approved advanced DNA testing on key items, including those shoelaces, and the evidence has now been shipped to Bode Laboratories for modern STR and touch DNA analysis. This is the first real chance in decades to answer the question everyone keeps asking. If it wasn't them, who was it? And that's what makes today the right day for this conversation. Angela watched Paradise Lost and told me that she has plenty of what ifs, why the hells, how did this ever happen?
What the hell?
And her theory board started going up fast. And instead of saving it for a future episode, I figured, why not just hit record and talk about this? Talk like two people who live and breathe true crime, but aren't trying to deliver a perfectly polished deep dive. That will come later. And when we do it, we're going to do it right. But today, it's just us. Our thoughts, our frustrations, our theories, and our impressions. Raw, unpolished, and probably a little chaotic, just like the whole freaking case has always been. So, all right, Angela, what did you walk away with after watching the Paradise Lost trilogy?
I walked away with the amount of anger, almost exactly the amount of anger that you promised me.
Boy, this case will freaking piss you off, won't it?
Oh, yeah.
So, questions that you walked away with?
One of them, I might be jumping the gun here, but
There is no gun. I mean,
There's
we're...
no gun?
No.
How in the Sam hell did that woman get away with a drive-through police interview?
Oh, the Mr. Bojangles issue.
Excuse me. I'm calling it the would you like fries with that interview. How?
I've never even heard of some shit like that before.
Okay.
Have you?
No, but she says, well, it wasn't the same jurisdiction as the boys being lost in. Okay.
Okay.
There's still effing blood.
Everywhere.
So it's somebody's blood, and it's a case of something that you should probably get out of your damn car.
I've never heard of anything like this.
I was so mad. And she didn't get any punishments or anything.
Nothing.
I know.
No.
Not a slap on the head. Not a maybe you should do better. Some guy went the next day and picked up some samples.
Well, apparently, but then what happened to those?
Lost them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get lost. So.
It's on me, Judge. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even.
Line them up. I got some smacks.
Like to your point, it wasn't even a case of where the department came out and said, she really freaking dropped the ball. This was a training issue.
Exactly.
Nope.
They should have addressed something.
They didn't do shit.
Yeah. Who does a drive-up investigation? Come on. And that manager, I would have been like, get your ass in here and talk to me and collect this shit.
I would have too, but I can't blame the manager. Like you call the cops and they say, well, it's not important. Like, who are you to say, yes, it is important? I mean, it all falls on that dumb
human
bitch.
right to say, yes, it is important, or get me a different cop who will do his job.
Oh, 100%. But I'm just saying the ultimate responsibility is on the bitch at the drive-thru.
It's true. But also, they probably weren't as gutsy back in the 80s either. Like, people now would have been like, get your ass out of here and or I want your badge number and I want somebody else.
Well, and the other component of this that doesn't ever get talked about, but as you well know, I'm diving deep into the Jennings 8 case, which happened in Louisiana, where at least 8 victims, but considerably more, were killed. And it comes out that law enforcement was making drug busts and then taking the drugs and selling them on the street.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Okay, well, let me come full circle. At this time, the West Memphis Police Department was under investigation for exactly the same thing.
Nice.
My point being, if you have a corrupt department, people are way less likely to go up against them because bad shit happens to them. Like what happened in the Jennings 8.
So B, why didn't they call somebody whose jurisdiction it was?
Oh, it was her jurisdiction.
Okay.
It was absolutely her jurisdiction. It was just another patrol zone.
Okay.
So the excuse makes no sense. None. It's just, she was just a lazy, fat bitch that didn't want to get out of her car and walk in. I mean, the kind of lackadaisical police work that you see in this case is mind-boggling.
So the funny thing is I scream at true crime like my family screams at football games.
Uh-huh.
And I'm legit yelling, get out of the car, to the point where I'm pretty sure my family was like, what the hell's going on back there?
Yeah, I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm with you on that one. What else did you walk away with?
Specifics. I am still torn because some people were saying turtles.
Right? Yeah.
Others were not saying turtles. And somebody went out and purposefully got bit so he could compare.
Yes.
Okay.
And
that's dedication. That's getting out of your freaking car at the drive-thru and talking to somebody.
Absolutely. And there's another really great documentary on the case called The Forgotten West Memphis Three, which I think is such a great name for a documentary. Apparently. And because his point is, okay, so the West Memphis Three are the boys, that got put in prison for this. But the forgotten West Memphis Three are the little boys that were murdered.
Yeah.
And then in that documentary, which is very well done, he sits down with some doctor, like a biologist. I don't know. Her expertise is like aquatic wildlife in that area.
Okay.
And I mean, she lays it out like there is absolutely no doubt. This is 100% turtle feeding on these bodies.
Okay. So it really wasn't, because I didn't ever land on, did they decide?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think officially it's ever been decided, but it's been decided.
Okay.
And during that same documentary, he took a couple of chickens and tied ropes to them and threw them in at the place where the pipe goes across the diversion ditch. And
where the bikes were found?
Where the bikes were found. And the freaking turtles just annihilate these things. There's nothing left but chicken bones in like a few minutes. You could see the turtles just come in from all over the place. Of course, they're going to do that with human bodies as well. And so I feel very confident in saying it's almost 100% certain that no boys were ever castrated. It never happened. That was turtle feeding. And the vast majority of the damage done to the bodies was turtle feeding. The only injuries found that could not be linked to aquatic wildlife, we'll say turtles, is the head wounds. Everything
so the bites on the head look human, not turtle?
Everything. There's a possible human bite mark on the one boy's eye. I think it's Chris Byers. I'm pretty sure Chris Byers had the bite mark on his eye. Chris Byers definitely is the one that was castrated, and I'm almost positive that he was also the one.
Okay, so the one I'm thinking was very, very blonde. So I think it was Stevie that had one above his eye. Very, very blonde.
You might be right. So what else? What else comes to mind?
I don't stir it up. I'm not sure.
So where are you
on? Just out of the blue.
Where are you on theories?
Do you want me to just rip the Band-Aid off?
Yeah, I mean, do you have multiple theories? Do you have one theory? Do you have...
I have
different possibilities, but one that's leading the pack.
I will tell you, like everyone else, when I started watching it, Mark Byers was just driving me insane.
100%.
Driving me insane. Like, and I think I texted you and told you it was easier to look at the crime scene photos than it was to listen to that man.
100%. Yes. And I think it's Paradise Lost 2, where he goes out in the woods and starts a fire and does all this weird shit. I mean, he's a weird guy.
Yeah.
100%.
So I watched another documentary and they're like, this is less wooded now. And I was like, yeah, because Mark Byers went out there and burned it all. Where have you been?
I mean, if you look at the area now, there's no woods at all.
No, yeah.
Left. It's completely gone.
And I know that he didn't burn it all, but it was the first thing that came to mind is like, did you say you watched all three of them? Mark Byers ritualistically burned the woods down out here.
I mean, it was weird.
He's very weird, yes.
Very weird. And I thought it was very weird that a parent would go back to
multiple
times back to the location where their son was murdered. I found that very odd. Yeah. I found I would say 99.9% of the shit Mark Byers does. Very odd.
Even to the point when he's changing his tune. I was like, do I believe you? I don't know.
And I have the luxury of investigating this case from every angle. So I read John Douglas's take on Mark Byers, and John Douglas comes right out and flat out says, of everybody involved in this case, Mark Byers is the one that is the most honest, the most open.
I mean,
and
crazy and honest.
When John Douglas went and talked to him, Mark Byers was like, get the hell off of my property. John Douglas finally was able to settle him down and get to talking to him. And then after he talked to him, then Mark Byers was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding.
It was Terry Wayne Hobbs.
Yeah.
And
so
he was at that point honest enough to then say publicly, I was absolutely wrong. I wrongfully accused these kids. And Terry Wayne Hobbs actually is the one that killed my son. And I found that take from John Douglas very interesting because he's a man that freaking reads people literally for a living. That he will say that.
And he was reading people off paper, not just sitting with them and getting it right.
Right. Yes.
So that's hard to do.
Yeah. And he was, so Lori, Damien's wife, brought John Douglas in before the boys were released and everything. Right. She was able to get John Douglas to come in and review the case and everything.
Yeah, who would have thought this story would have an interesting little love story involved in it too?
Right. Well, it's so funny because the book that John Douglas talks about this in is his book Law and Disorder, where he covers this. And it's so freaking funny because when he starts out with Lori's conversation, he says, immediately when I'm talking to her, I'm thinking, this is an intelligent, well-educated woman who is blah, blah, blah. And then she says, I married Damien while he was in prison. And John Douglas was like,
excuse me?
Maybe she's articulate and well-written, but she's a nut job.
She lost her mind.
And he goes on to explain that, all these women that marry these freaking lunatics are nut jobs. And so his original take on her was, she's another freaking lunatic. And then
enough that she didn't tell her family for 4 years.
Yeah.
So when they ask her to say something.
But then he actually accepted the case, went down, met with her, did all this stuff. And when he left with a completely different view of Lori. She's not a nutcase. She fell in love with an innocent man. And, because like he said, the vast majority of these women want a relationship where they don't actually have to have a relationship. Their significant other is going to be locked away for the rest of their lives. They know that.
What better way to trust them?
Right. But with Lori, it was something totally different. It was actual, authentic. She fell in love with this kid,
Well, and they talked for how long? Like over a year and everything before?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember exactly, but it was, I think
a significant amount of time. It wasn't just, first meeting, let's get married next.
Oh, hell no. It was, I think that they corresponded for like over a year before she ever moved from New York down there.
Yeah.
And then I think there was another period of time after she had moved that, they were still kind of courting and stuff before they ever got married. Yeah. So, and they're still married to this day, which is, crazy and
it means,
awesome.
It means something.
Right. Yeah.
So, but my ultimate, when all was said and done and I consumed as much as I could that day, which was a lot.
Well, if you watched all 3 Paradise Lost
in one day,
that's a lot.
Yeah.
Because they're not short freaking.
I watched them all in one day. And the investigation discovery documentary.
Oh, you watched that one as well.
And several podcasts. It was the West Memphis 3 day.
This case does that to you.
The whole day.
It does that.
At the end, and I don't know how far-fetched this is, and I can't let it go. I think Terry did it, and I think the Bojangles guy did it with him.
Oh, that's an interesting take. That's one I hadn't heard of.
Terry hired him so he could be gone occasionally because, so the boys had to know. What everybody's saying is the boys had to be comfortable because there was wrangling 3 boys.
Right.
Okay. So they would know Terry. one of them would be scared of Terry because wasn't Terry abusive?
Oh, 100%.
So
yes.
They might not have wanted to go, but they were scared enough and they knew him to go.
Okay.
Terry needs the alibi, so he's going back and forth. Stupidest alibi ever. Let's go play guitar instead of go looking for our kid. But anyway, he needed the alibi, so he's going back and forth, making sure he's seen in places. And the Bojangles guy finishes the terrible doings that I don't want to say out loud, but I'm sure we have to eventually.
Yeah, I mean, he murdered the boy.
Yeah.
So
that's my take on it. And Terry ended up cleaning rooms that he never would have helped with doing.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was was seen cleaning the house and doing laundry, which is something that
he
had never been seen doing before.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's super interesting.
That is my theory.
I've never heard that theory before. Personally, I don't think that Bojangles fits into the story whatsoever.
You think another random bloody dude did something no one heard about? There's bodies out there we don't know about?
Well, the big problem with the Bojangles case is that we don't know whose blood it was.
True.
And so it could have been his own blood. He apparently had a cast on his arm.
That's true.
And so
just the timeline and the coincidentalness I am struggling with.
Well, and I think that has been the problem with, the whole Bojangles situation all along is, it's an pretty much unbelievable timing issue, right?
Well, and
this just happens to be.
How do you let them sit in there for an hour before you call the police? No, you call the police the second you can't get the door open.
Well, I mean, I did find that whole thing pretty freaking strange because he's in the women's bathroom.
Yeah.
So
what are you doing, dude?
You have a man in the women's bathroom and
you can't get him out.
Right.
He came in bloodied and muddied is what a quote I kept hearing.
Yeah, covered in mud and covered in blood.
And you're just going to wait until he decides to emerge to call law enforcement? I would have them there the second I couldn't get him out myself.
But from what I understand, they did call, but bitch just took her sweet time.
Oh, really?
Getting up there.
One of the docs said that the documentary said that they called after he left because they found what he had and then they called.
I can't be 100% certain about that. I can't say for sure.
Well, I know a lot of documentaries say different things too. So that's why I consumed a whole bunch of them.
Right. Yeah.
You can't stop at one.
No, you get different stories for sure.
Yeah.
From everybody. So you think that Bojangles
was working with Terry?
Is involved in this?
Yes.
I'm looking for.
I think Terry was trying to get rid of the kid and needed help. And the other kids were collateral damage.
So what do you think was the motive?
Well, so later on, he's accused of, molesting his daughter.
Correct.
I think that the child would have gotten in the way of that. Maybe caught them. Maybe knew something.
Okay.
Maybe mom was paying more attention to the kid than him. I think he just seems like the type of guy that's like, I don't want all these kids around. Something happened and he's got to go.
Okay. I can't find it, but there's actually a deposition. I don't know if it's a deposition, but so.
An interview with the daughter talking about.
No.
Oh, okay. Because I can see that.
A guy that says that is what happened is he sold drugs.
Terry?
No, this guy.
Okay.
I can't think of his name, but he sold drugs. And so these four guys show up, Terry Wayne Hobbs, David Jacoby, and then these two other younger guys. They showed up at his house. The two younger ones came over to him to buy the marijuana, which he thought was strange because Terry bought marijuana from him on a regular basis. And then he saw David Jacoby and Terry Wayne Hobbs making out in the truck.
Oh, really?
While he was talking to him.
Nobody touched on that in any of the things I watched.
And then what one of the kids that bought the pot from him later confessed to him was that after they bought the pot, they all four got back into the truck. They went driving around. For whatever reason, they took the service road by the Blue Beacon Blue Beacon truck wash, pulled down by Robin Hood Woods. They got out. Terry and David talked these two younger boys into wrestling, which then ended in sexual contact between all four of them.
Mm-hmm.
While they were involved in whatever this sexual contact was, three little boys come up and they're watching them. Terry Wayne Hobbs recognizes these three little boys.
Yeah.
And he knows that this is going to end his marriage, destroy his life. And so he says, get them. All of them run and capture the boys. David Jacoby kills one. Terry Wayne Hobbs kills, I think, the other two. And again, I can't find this, but I have it.
I never heard this one. All the stuff I watched, I never heard.
Yeah, it's out there. I mean, it is an official legal.
Now I'm upset and I have to go look more.
And so, but I have a hard time with that. I don't think David Jacoby was involved. I think Terry Wayne Hobbs did it all by his lonesome. And I think the Bojangles character was just a coincidence.
I think you have to watch me take a line and a half of this apart.
That's your crocheting because you were busy talking and
no, this wasn't even sitting here. I just found the problem with doing stuff like this is sometimes you have to get completely to the other row, or depending on the pattern, just quick crochet interjection here. 2 rows later before you realize I messed up.
That sucks.
Yeah, I messed up. I have to take some of it apart while we're chatting here. I'd fuel the fire.
So another thing that came up in the Forgotten West Memphis Three documentary was that this young black kid was older than the three boys, but he was pretty young at the time. He was like 3 or 4 years older. I think he said that he was like middle school age and they were second graders. And if his story is true and accurate, he would have been the last person to see the three boys. And he said the three boys had sleeping bags and were headed into the woods and said they were going camping.
One of them said they were running away.
Christopher Byers said went to a boy's house without the other two around 3:30 and said, I'm running away. My dad just spanked me again. And Mark Byers does admit that he did spank him for riding a skateboard in the street earlier that afternoon, shortly after school. At some point, he gave him a swat on the butt for riding his skateboard in the street.
Yeah.
And then this other boy said that Christopher Byers showed up by himself and said, I'm running away. My dad just, spanked me again.
Yeah.
And then this other boy claims that he saw them just before the entrance to Robin Hood Hills with sleeping bags, saying that they were headed into the woods.
Okay.
Camping. Now, I've never heard that before. That's the only place that I've ever heard that. And I don't know anything about any sleeping bags.
Yeah.
Their clothes were found, obviously, tied to sticks and pushed into the mud.
Yeah.
Another thing I have a huge freaking problem with is why were their bodies taken out of the water?
By the people who found them?
Yes.
Maybe they thought they were preserving evidence.
That's absolutely contrary to preserving evidence.
Well, that's what I said. Maybe they thought.
Maybe they're absolute dipshits.
Or asshats. You haven't said that yet.
Because what should have been done is the water should have been drained, which it eventually was. But they basically just grabbed the boys and threw them up on the bank. If you have any doubt about that, go view Paradise Lost, because unfortunately, it's all there for you to see. And Instead, they should have left the boys exactly the way that they were and drained the water so that they could have seen exactly the position of the bodies, exactly how they were left. All of that stuff was lost because these dumbasses grabbed the boys and pulled them up out of the water. I mean, at that point, the boys are dead.
Yeah.
They've been underwater for hours.
You can't fix them.
No. And so any investigator knows that if there's no life-saving measures to take, then you stop and it becomes a crime scene and you treat it as that.
Right.
But they didn't. They pulled all the sticks up. And one thing that gets missed in the Paradise Lost and every other documentary, I don't think I've ever seen this on a documentary, but the sticks used in court, the ones that they brought in and analyzed, and an investigator went back out to Robin Hood Woods like 2 months after the fact,
right,
and grabbed these sticks to bring in for court.
So A, they might not be the same ones. B, they're degraded.
Yeah, I mean, first of all,
C, they're contaminated.
They're almost certainly not the same ones. It's the woods. It's full of sticks. Yeah. How the hell do you know?
What stick was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't possibly
should have been
know.
Bagged that day.
Of course it should have been. Who knows the kind of evidence that would have been on those sticks? We'll never know because we don't even know if we've got the right damn sticks. We probably don't. And then the whole finding the knife. Yeah. And I mean, that's one of the dumbest freaking things I've ever seen in my life.
Seemed a little too special.
Yeah. And
speaking of knife things that blow your mind, who gives a knife as a gift to documentarians when your child was killed by a knife?
Yeah, he's a freaking weirdo. There's no doubt about that. He is an absolute whack job. I don't think he's guilty at all.
I don't think so either, but what the hell?
But he's...
You don't want anything to do with knives if that's, especially so soon, but give it as a gift?
Well, yeah, and then he went on and like held a gun on 2 boys and made them fight or some weird shit.
It was a fair fight.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's a weirdo. There is no doubt about that. But, you know, and then the whole...
lying about his teeth.
The
teeth were done before the boys were lost. Well, and let's look at all your interviews, dude, because you didn't shut your mouth at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know when he had his teeth removed. I know
96.
And I don't believe that Mark Byers had anything to do with it.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, why are you lying about your damn teeth? How are you telling us? I got my teeth pulled. They were pulled before the boys were missing. But you did all those interviews. And clearly, you do not have dentures in those interviews.
I don't know if he does or not.
No, he didn't. 100% didn't.
I don't know. I mean, because I know that I see him in interviews that I know for a fact he had dentures, and I can't tell the difference.
And who makes dentures that crooked and missing teeth? Come on. They would have made them better than that.
I guess I never paid that much attention.
I had to, and I rewound even because when he says to the West Memphis Three, the 3 people that made the...
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so he was telling them, they were asking him, would you submit to bite mark testing? And he pulls his teeth out of his face.
Right. Yep. I remember that.
Okay. So they were like, well, when did that happen? And he goes, that was done before the boys went missing. No, dude. I went back, watched your interviews. You have messed up teeth before this. And somebody else was pissed off enough about it that went and found the oral surgeon that pulled them, and it was done in 96 or 97.
But so what's your point? Do you think he's guilty?
Not of something. I mean, I don't understand why lie if he's not guilty of something.
So you think Mark Byers is involved in the killing too?
I can't say no 100%.
I can almost say 100% no.
I think he's guilty of something.
Well, I mean, he very well might be,
because
but do you know how unbelievably rare it would be to have 2 random stepdads involved in killing their sons in that way?
But this whole case screams, what?
Yeah.
Why not add that to the mix? I just want to know why you're lying about your teeth, dude.
Well, I want to know why he is the only parent that was interviewed.
On the second ones, the rest of them were in the first movie.
No, not a single parent was ever officially interviewed other than Mark Byers.
Legally interviewed.
Yes.
Gotcha.
As they're a suspect in the case.
Gotcha.
When everybody knows. I don't think you have to be any sort of John Douglas to know that when a child is murdered, the most likely suspects are always the people closest to them. It's not just a child.
Especially when mom says, "Oh, I'm on TV."
Yeah, well, I mean, when anybody's murdered, your first instinct is it's likely somebody close to them. Your investigators always work from inside out.
Yeah.
But Terry Wayne Hobbs was never interviewed until much, much later. And I think that interview's on one of the Paradise Lost documentaries.
Yeah.
And it's a freaking joke. He's in there for like
the last one,
30, 45 minutes or something. They ask him a few questions and they're like, well, thanks a lot for coming in.
Oh.
I mean, he was not interviewed as though he was a suspect in any way. And he's him and Mark Byers are the only parents that were ever interviewed.
Yeah.
And do I think that any of the rest of the parents are involved? No. But I find it very weird that the investigation didn't unfold the way homicide investigations always should unfold.
And the neighbors of the other boys weren't interviewed either.
Oh, the neighborhood was not canvassed
because
at all.
That one neighbor was waiting. She was like, I saw him yelling at them to get home.
Yeah.
They didn't come talk to me.
Well, nobody in, I think it's the Mayfair apartments that were right there.
Yeah.
None of those people, they did not canvass the neighborhood.
It's usually, did you hear something weird? Have you?
Well, I mean, every investigation begins with a canvass of everybody that you can possibly talk to. And everyone in those Mayfair apartments should have been interviewed because they look right down at the pipe where they freaking cross the diversion canal.
I will say, just seeing the crime scene pictures, I had only seen those, so I was expecting way out in no man's land.
Right.
And then I watched the documentary where the documentarian was showing us the places. He took us to what Bojangles is now, what used to be Bojangles, which is also boarded up. It's just not tore down.
Right.
Showed us the truck wash, showed us the area, and showed us the school where the little memorial is, and then went and put little toy cars on all their graves. And I was like, this is a lot closer to civilization than those pictures show.
Shit.
They look like it could be out.
It's a little
hour drive.
Yeah, it's a little sliver of woods in between a major housing development on the edge of which is the Mayfair apartments. And then behind that is basically middle income housing development, just a suburban neighborhood where their school is right in that little neighborhood and everything. Let's see, I think it's, I know that the Byers and two of the boys live like right across the street from the school.
I think it was Byers and Moore.
I think you're right too. And then Stevie lived quite a ways down south in the neighborhood. But anyway, and then on the other side, to your point, is Interstate 10 running right on the other side of that. And then on the one side is the Blue Beacon Car Wash. And then there was a big truck stop right there. And on the other side was a wheat field. So it's just a little tiny patch of woods. I think it was a half an acre of woods.
Yeah, that slapped me in the face hard because I went in just having seen the pictures. And I was like, you mean to tell me that this was right in the middle of all the things? They didn't drive for like an hour to get to this wooded area? No. All right.
But I do find it very interesting that, and I did the math. I mapped it all out and everything. And it is roughly 6 miles from the trailer park where Damien and Jason lived.
Okay.
It's roughly 6 miles from there down to Robin Hood Hills. So when I first started researching this case or first heard about this case, I mean, when I first heard about this case, it was back in the late 90s.
Back in the day, yeah.
Because I watched Paradise Lost on VHS years and years and years ago. And so when I first heard about this, and you form this mental image in your head of how everything looks and everything. And I was thinking that Jason and Damien lived right there too, right near the woods. It would have been like, these kids from this neighborhood come to the woods, these kids from this neighborhood come to the woods, and they happen to meet there and whatever.
Not so much.
In reality, it's like 6 miles from the trailer park, because they didn't even live it wasn't even technically West Memphis where Damien and Jason lived. I think the town is like Menard or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And it's north of all of this. And Damien didn't drive. He didn't have a driver's license. And so
he walked everywhere in his scary ass trench coat.
Right. And so we're supposed to believe that an 18-year-old kid walked 6 freaking miles to this tiny little patch of woods.
Bro. Yeah.
I mean, it just is ludicrous. It's such a dumbass theory. And then, as far as dumbass theories go, this case is full of dumbass theories.
Yeah, it's not lacking at all.
And that freaking judge should be tried and prosecuted for the way that he handled this case.
And why did it kept being him?
That's just how it works. That's how the justice system works over and over and over again.
Don't get me
started. Because it always goes back to the original trial judge. Always goes back to the original trial judge.
But that's part of appeal, is to try it differently to show better.
Oh, I know.
Meh. Okay. Now I'm just making noises.
I mean, I understand the logic of it, because the original trial judge is going to know the case better than anybody else. But the problem that I have with this particular case is the trial was absolutely unfair. I don't think anybody that really looks at this case can say that these boys had a fair trial. And it came out later that the jury most certainly used Jesse's confession in the deliberations. And, for the listeners that aren't familiar with the case, Jesse recanted his testimony or his confession and refused to testify against Damien and Jason. Therefore, the confession was not allowed to be used in their trial.
Because, and I quote, "I refuse to tell the lie the second time."
Right. Yep. And so what do you think about the whole confession?
I'm livid that it was 12 hours of interrogation and only 45 minutes are recorded.
Yeah. And even in what is recorded, we can see Jesse originally says that he got to the woods about 9 o'clock.
And then noon. Both times, children are in school.
And then the cop is like, "So you got there and the boys were out of school."
Oh, yeah, they were skipping.
He's
Excuse
like,
me?
"The boys were skipping?" And then the cop is like,
8-year-old boys are skipping?
And then the cop is like, "So you got there around 5. Jesse just got done saying that I was there at noon. And then the cop is like, "Oh, so you got there about 5, you're saying?" And Jesse's like, yeah, it was like 5. And then the cop's like, "Or was it, you had said it was like 7 or 8, like the sun was going down." And Jesse's
Let's
like,
confuse you as much as we can.
Oh yeah, it was 7 or 8. So, I mean, almost a 12-hour swing from 9 in the morning to 7 or 8 in the evening.
And who doesn't check Jason's story of that he was wrestling? Who doesn't check that?
Jesse's.
It was Jesse's? I thought it was Jason that was wrestling.
No, it was Jesse that was wrestling, and all of those kids testified, and they said it couldn't have been him because he was with us. Multiple kids, I think like 8 or 9 kids testified.
Yeah.
And the jurors just totally ignored it.
Whatever, yeah. These kids they're paying them off in pixie sticks or something.
But I mean, these kids were railroaded by this judge. I mean, definitely by the prosecutor.
Railroaded by everybody, yeah.
But the judge is the one that's supposed to be the guardrail against that shit. And he would not let the defense call any experts that would refute the quote unquote expert who got his degree from a mail order catalog.
I love him, by the way. I have a PhD as well. It's on its way in the mail.
Yeah, well, I have 3.
Yeah. Gotta beat me, don't you, John? You just gotta one up me.
Interestingly, that college, quote unquote, that he got his degree from was shut down by the state of California.
Really?
Oh, yeah. In like the year 2000, I think.
Imagine that.
Because it was a phony freaking... It was just a diploma factory is all it was. You paid them money and they printed out your little certificate and sent it off.
The same place that lady got her cop's license from.
Right? But this dumbass, I mean, it definitely has the trappings of occultism.
Yes. Because they wore black. They painted their hair black. Okay. Painted their hair black. He's 17 years later in jail. His hair's still black. They're not painting it for him.
And then you say, oh, yeah, well, they take the blood home and drink it
and bathe in it.
And so somehow they bled these boys of all their blood.
Yeah.
And there's
very cleanly,
not a drop of blood anywhere at the scene.
They were the first Dexters.
They were the first something, because I'm telling you what, that is not possible in the middle of the woods at night. But one thing that John Douglas pointed out, which I thought was brilliant. Of course, I think John Douglas is brilliant. So I really put a lot of faith in.
I feel like you would fanboy out hard if you could meet John Douglas.
Oh, yeah, big time. I mean, the dude is like...
Come on, John, reach out to us.
He's the only one left alive.
Yeah.
Except the doctor, Dr. Ann. I can't think of her.
A real doctor?
Yeah, she's...
Sorry.
So it was...
Facetious now.
It was Robert Rest. Have you ever watched Mindhunter?
Mm-hmm.
The series?
Mm-hmm.
So John Douglas is, I mean, they do a terrible job of portraying the people. It's totally fictional, but he's Holden Ford is John Douglas. Okay. And then what's the other guy's name? Tinton or something like that?
It's not one that I watched a lot, so I can't.
That's supposed to be Robert Ressler. And then Dr. Ann Burgess is portrayed as the lesbian woman, which none of that's true either, not in real life. So the characters are completely made up, but that's who they're supposed to represent.
Okay.
And so John Douglas is Holden Ford, and he's the all gung-ho one. He wasn't. I mean, he was definitely... The 3 real people did really start behavioral analysis. They are the founders of it. John Douglas and Robert Ressler really did travel around and they did the road school thing. That's all true. Okay. And then they did travel around and talk to different serial killers and tried to build a behavioral profile. And they fought against the bureaucracy of the FBI. And John Douglas will say flat out, we pretty much had to wait for J. Edgar Hoover to die before we can make any headway in any of this shit, But he wasn't this loose cannon that was having random sex and acting like an asshole. I mean, he was married. He had children during the whole time. I mean, it's all a bunch of crap. But my point is that they are the foundation of behavioral analysis. Robert Ressler and John Douglas are the ones that did all this. And so he's been doing this shit forever. Robert Ressler passed away.
Insert Sandlot quote here.
Yeah, exactly. So Robert Ressler passed away. So, he's not available. Roy Hazelwood came out a little bit later. He passed away. He's not available. So the only one left is John Douglas and Dr. Ann Burgess, who are foundational members to all of this, who've been at this for this freaking long.
And it's just so easy to try to meet them too, huh?
Yeah, you can't even reach out to John Douglas. You reach out to his publicist. It used to be his attorney. Now it's his publicist. Dr. Ann Burgess, I believe, is still teaching.
Oh, nice.
At one of the universities. But my point is that they've been at this so long, and he's actually the guy that talked to Ed Kemper, Ted Bundy. I mean, the list just...
Ed Gein, according to the show.
I think he did talk to Ed Gein. I can't remember if he did or not, but I know he talked to Manson. I know he talked to Ed Kemper multiple times. I know he talked to like Richard Speck. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on.
Supposedly, he talked to Gein, and that's why he talked to Speck.
That might be the case.
And that's how he was profiling Bundy. That's how he knew Bundy was going to go to Florida. I don't know how much truth that is. That's just what I
don't think there's any truth to that.
He's like, stop spouting lies on the podcast.
I'm pretty positive.
That's just what I have heard.
I'm pretty positive that I read in one of his books, and I can easily research it and answer the question, but I'm almost positive that because he did he met with, who's the guy that wrote Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs?
Stephen King?
No. Anyway, he came and met with John Douglas and picked his brain and everything, and you're correct. FBI profiler John Douglas interviewed Ed Gein, but described it as, quote, not much of an interview because Gein was too psychotic.
Well, so what, like, Geck was infatuated with Gein. And he was writing to Gein, so Gein reached out and said...
Robin Geck?
No. Was it? Richard
Speck?
Richard Speck, thank you. You got me. See? I told you. Some things get filed in there. Sometimes they're not right.
Oh, you're fine.
But we work together and we can come to the conclusion. Anyway, he supposedly idolized Gein.
Oh, okay.
And so he wrote to him saying, this is what I've done. This is what I've done. But this is what so-and-so is going to do. And Gein supposedly had an epiphany of good person vibes, I don't know, and wanted to do something right and told them that Bundy was going to do this in Florida.
I don't think there's any truth to that. Like I just read, John Douglas said it wasn't much of an interview because Ed Gein was psychotic.
Yeah.
Ed Kemper...
They made him take his meds.
You're not thinking of Ed Kemper, are you?
Mm-mm.
Because I do think that Ed Kemper... Well, I know for a fact that Ed Kemper was very instrumental in helping find other serial killers. And then so was Ted Bundy after he was finally caught and imprisoned.
Yeah.
And Robert Ressler is actually the one that interviewed Ted Bundy.
My brain is bringing that back because they both, Richard and Ed Gein both had a thing for wearing the skin, becoming a woman. Am I totally missing the mark here? I love the face you're giving me.
I don't remember that about Richard Speck, but maybe. But where I started all of this at was in explaining John Douglas.
We totally got off the subject.
Is because Douglas says that he's almost 100% certain that the killer was somebody alone, that they were from the neighborhood. And he says that because why throw the bikes in the river if you're a stranger?
Mm-hmm.
So like he said, somebody came up, they crossed that same pipe, went into the woods, killed the boys, came back and knew that those bikes would be evidence, threw those bikes in and then went back home, which points to obviously somebody from that neighborhood area. What I think happened, and I think that John Douglas is the one that said this. I'm not coming up with this, so it's not my thing. But what I think happened is the boys were up playing in the woods. Terry Hobbs came up there, or somebody came up there and started to get after him. Chris Byers was known as being kind of a little smart mouth and definitely would have been like, you're not my dad. You can't tell me what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Pissed off whoever it was. They reacted by smacking him or whatever happened, accidentally killing Chris Byers for being a little smart mouth, and then had to get rid of the other two because they just witnessed it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that that's what Douglas said. I think it makes perfect sense to me. That's the main reason that I came to the conclusion that the Bojangles thing had nothing to do with it.
Gotcha.
Because if you're a complete stranger, why throw the bikes in? why go back and throw the bikes in the drainage ditch? It doesn't make any sense. You would just get the hell out of there because the bikes aren't going to point to you. And the other thing,
but the bikes are going to point to there's somebody there. If he's trying to hide that there was somebody there to begin, if he just wanted it to look like no one was ever there, bikes, bodies, nothing.
but a stranger wouldn't do that. Somebody that knew the boys would do that.
But I would think anybody trying to cover up any kind of a crime would be like, throw the bikes in the water too. Let's throw everything in the water and
No,
get in the wind.
no. I mean, what crime history shows us is that hiding the bodies is an act typically of somebody close to the victim because they need more time before the bodies are found. A stranger in this situation would have killed the boys and headed straight out to the truck stop, for instance. And then as soon as you cross that little bit of a field and get to the truck stop, you have pliable deniability.
Oh, yeah.
I was never in those woods. And why would anybody even suspect you?
Get a burger and be on your way. Yep.
I don't think a stranger would have put the boys in the water. I definitely don't think a stranger would have hid the clothes the way that they were hidden.
Yeah, that I don't understand.
That's freaking weird. It's all about making these boys disappear to either make sure they're never found or at least buy enough time to create an alibi so that you can say, I don't know, for instance, I was with David Jacoby all night long.
Playing guitar.
I was never there, and I have a witness for the whole time period. And as long as you can keep those boys from being found for long enough, you're able to create an alibi, something only somebody that knew them would need to do.
Right.
A stranger,
Okay.
they're just going to take off. And those boys would be left laying in the exact position that they were killed in. That's my take on it.
I also entertained for a small portion, and I'm not sure if I'm done with it yet, that they were killed somewhere else and taken out there.
I know a lot of people believe that. I don't. I think that
I just want to know where all the blood is then. Like, where is it?
I don't think that there was much blood.
I mean, his skull was crushed, dude. There's got to be more blood than there was.
Yeah, I mean, if he whacked him on the head, and yeah, head wounds do bleed profusely, but he also had a full head of hair, which is going to soak a lot of that. You hit somebody on the head and throw them in the water, the blood is gone. It's all washing away in the water.
Yeah, they had one guy there, though, saying even if you had a hose pointed directly at it, it wouldn't have gotten rid of all the blood.
Yeah, I know that they've said that. The investigators also said that the boys, after they killed them, threw water from the creek up onto the banks and washed all the blood off of there. But I think that assumes that they knocked them in the head and then they laid there for an extended period of time bleeding.
Okay.
If they didn't,
Instead of just going straight into the water.
Right. Then the blood is all gone from the water. The biggest problem that I have with killing them somewhere else and then bringing them there is logistics. How do you pull it off?
I mean, I want to know why Terry was cleaning when he never does. Maybe he had them there.
And killed them at the house and then took them up there. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I can't say that that's an impossibility. But then, how do you explain the bindings? Those ones, that's still, that's a tough one.
With your shoelaces?
Yeah, kind of hogtied. I mean, in a very, very unusual way.
And all the knots were different, right?
I don't think I've ever heard that.
I feel like I heard all the knots were different, and they thought it was to make it look like it was more than one person.
I mean, you could be right. I don't know about that. But what's the point of it?
I don't know.
It's one of the most unusual ways I've ever seen any victim tied up. I've never seen that before. Of course, I'm not a homicide investigator, but it's not like traditional hog.
Isn't that one of your PhDs that's coming in the mail?
Oh, yeah, it is for sure. But, like traditional hog tying is tying the feet together, tying the hands together, and then tying the hands to the feet.
Yeah.
These boys were tied like right hand to right foot,
hand,
left hand to left foot, which would have still left them mobile. Like they would have been in an
army crawl,
They would have been in an awkward position, but they could still move because their feet could move independently of each other.
Mm-hmm.
The only place I've ever seen anything tied in this way is some animals, when you kill them, like hogs, for instance, you tie their feet together like that, and you can wear them like a backpack.
Yeah.
And carry them out, as kind of as a backpack.
So perhaps that's how they were carried back in.
I don't know. It's a theory that I've had, is it would explain why you would tie them in that way. Because then you could, as grotesque and terrible as it sounds, you could essentially kind of wear them as a backpack and carry them back in there.
Anybody who does this is grotesque already, so wearing them as a backpack is not shocking.
So I believe Paradise Lost covers the assault from Terry Wayne Hobbs on the neighbor, correct?
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it comes out in the deposition when he tried to sue Natalie Maines and got his ass handed to him. But where the
theft, the thievery from that was the buyers. Never mind.
No, Terry Wayne Hobbs, a neighbor, heard him beating the shit out of his wife, I believe, and she come over and said something to the effect of like, if you ever touch them again, I'm calling the cops, or something to that effect. And then later, she was like, I think getting out of the shower, and Terry Wayne Hobbs just like grabbed her. He came in her house.
Oh yeah.
Grabbed her breasts and stuff. And then she was like, get the hell out of here. And ended up leaving. But that is a sexual assault. Like the man, without any doubt, is a violent criminal. I don't think that, he shot his brother-in-law. There's in no world can you say that this is not a violent man.
Yeah.
So he definitely fits a profile of somebody that could do something like this. I think the boys were 100% killed by somebody they knew for the reasons that I've already said. I think that it's, again, for reasons I already stated, I think it's unbelievably likely they were killed by somebody very close to them, somebody in a position of authority that could... Because it's not that difficult to control 3 8-year-olds if you are in a position of authority.
Yeah.
Teachers do it with like 30 of them every freaking day. Parents of multiple kids. my kids used to have like friends sleep over and stuff like that. And I'd have, 5 or 6 8-year-olds running around, and I could control all 5 or 6 of them because I'm in a position of authority.
Yeah.
I think it'd be very easy for one of their parents to control them to the point that they're able to, I don't know, I could see them making them take their clothes off and tying themselves up. And I think you're
especially
right.
If it was under the guise of like, to get them there, maybe something fun. We're going to go.
Yeah. Or they just walk in there. Yeah. What I think is the most likely is I think that somebody went into those woods and the boys weren't supposed to be there. And that was... Then the whole neighborhood, all the parents didn't want their kids playing there because it was used by transients and drug dealers and stuff, because that truck stop and the interstate was right there. So it's a great place for transients to camp and all of that. So parents didn't like their kids being there. I think that one of the parents most likely went in there looking for the boys, and they found them in there, and they were pissed off because they were somewhere where they weren't supposed to be, and things went bad, and that's how things ended up. But what I was going to say is you are right when you said that the knots were different, because one of the theories is that whoever it was made like one boy tie up the neck, one boy tie up the other boy. And
Moore was a boy. Well, they were all Boy Scouts, weren't they?
All of them were Boy Scouts.
But Moore was more into it. Like,
yeah. I'm pretty sure that Michael Moore was the one that wore his uniform even when they on non-scouting days, and was wearing his uniform that day.
Supposedly went and changed into it.
Right. After school. Right. Yep. But, that's kind of how I see this. Now, this new DNA evidence, we've got to talk about that because
bring it on.
That's
you
going to
know
be
more about that than I do.
I don't know a lot. I know that what is that vacuum? The new
Oh my gosh, I just watched that today. You know, when my brain said remember this because he's going to ask you about it, gone.
Let me look right quick because MVAC.
Thank you. Why was that so hard to remember?
So I know that they're going to use the MVAC on multiple pieces of evidence. I don't know what pieces. I know that the shoelaces got sent, but I think for whatever reason, the number 10 sticks in my mind. 10 pieces of evidence were sent.
See, being able to look stuff up on the fly while we're talking is fun, isn't it?
It's pretty handy, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to read extensively to figure it out. But I mean, multiple pieces of evidence. I do have to say, I guess I got to throw this out there, but I'm operating off the assumption that you're in the same place as me, that the 3 devil worshippers had absolutely freaking nothing to do with this.
That's how I feel.
That's a fair statement. I mean, I don't know of almost anybody at this point that doesn't think that.
Yeah.
I don't know how the Moors.
Oh, I do. That judge and that sheriff.
Oh, yeah, the freaking prosecutor. What I can't think of his name, but that dipshit.
The Sheriff Gwinnett or something. He still thinks that it's them.
Oh, yeah, the piece of shit law enforcement. But as far as like normal people, Terry Wayne Hobbs is the only one I know for certain says that they did it. Pam. And I think her new name is Davis. I'm pretty positive it's Davis because she divorced that piece of shit. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't
almost immediately moved in with her parents.
Yeah, it was a little bit while after this, but essentially Terry Wayne Hobbs was like, you just need to get over it. Mm-hmm. And
hence another reason why I feel like he's just trying to get rid of the kid to get him out of the way.
Well, I don't think it was on any of the Paradise Lost, but Pam would later say that he was extremely jealous of her relationship with Stevie, and that a couple weeks before the murder, Stevie had asked Pam to please leave Terry because he loved the girl who was his biologically, but he didn't love Stevie, who was not his biologically, he was adopted. And I also know that it is to the extent that Pam had Terry's name removed from Stevie's headstone. So she thinks he did it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about the Moors. I don't know where they fall on it all. I know that
they're pretty quiet.
Yeah, you don't hear anything from them. I know that they had all kinds of drinking problems and that she was arrested at least once for DUI and stuff. But as far as being in the public eye, I have seen nothing from them.
Yeah.
For pretty much since
from those documentaries, yeah.
I think only the first one.
Oh, yeah, because Mark was the only one that was in the rest.
Well, Terry Wayne Hobbs was in the others too, and I think Pam was too, but the Moors I don't think were in any of the rest of them.
They weren't.
And, as far as like he goes as a suspect, he's out because he wasn't in town. He was an over-the-road truck driver, and he was out of town when the boys were killed. So he's not a suspect.
Yeah.
He can be.
Yeah.
He wasn't there. That's proven.
And I know you can't base on feelings, but my gut feeling from him was that he was the only dad that actually really loved him. Like, okay, Mark may have loved them because he was spouting off and going crazy, but his love didn't feel right. But the Moors felt more like their pain was more palpable as real pain. If that is making any sense. It doesn't look to me like in your.
No, I think I know what you're saying, but you're speaking only about the fathers.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of the 3 fathers.
Yes. Yeah, because I would say like Pam Hobbs, I mean, her pain was.
Oh yeah.
When she was like screaming and freaking passed out. And it just rips your heart out.
But then she's excited to be on TV and she's showing how she's wearing his Boy Scout uniform.
Yeah, and she's. Acting
was
all
she
weird.
Drunk? Like, I don't know.
I think is honestly, and I can't say this, it's only speculation, but I would say that I'm 95% certain that the doctors put her on something
SSRI to
settle her down, because that was shortly after the murders, and she was an absolute wreck. I mean, you can see it when she learns that her son is dead. I mean, that is not an act. That is as raw of an emotion as you can catch on camera. That was real.
Yeah.
And then I think that they probably had to shoot her up with all kinds of shit for her to even be able to function, because she acts drunk.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'd be in the same boat.
She's like putting his little Boy Scout scarf on her head and acting all weird and stuff. I think that's what was going on.
To say it made me think, are you in on this? Just a little bit, like Munchausen type thing.
I went through that. I went through that with her too, because it was so bizarre. And then I was like, okay, that would make sense. If she's heavily medicated to deal with this, that would make a lot of sense. And then when you see her in later interviews, and she's very intimately involved in the forgotten West Memphis Three documentary.
Okay.
And it was done not that long ago. I think it was done in like 2015 or something like that. So
I watched something that was done in 2020.
So she was, way older and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's like, I just want answers. Don't I deserve that?
Yeah.
And you can see that she's still in a tremendous amount of pain all these years later. So I think that was absolutely legitimate. The Moors, I think that was, but I got to say, for both Mark and his wife, and I can't think of her name off the top of my head.
Melissa.
She's a freaking weirdo too. I'm sorry, but the way she acted was very bizarre to me.
It was bizarre.
It was very bizarre.
Passed away, and it's undetermined.
I think she OD'd.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really do. I believe she OD'd. I think it was an accidental overdose. I think Mark Byers is a freaking weirdo, but I don't think he's a bad human being.
Right.
I really don't. In the Forgotten West Memphis Three, they actually interview his older son. Well, stepson.
Mark's?
Yeah. Stepson. But it would have been Christopher's older brother. And he's like under shadow and everything, because he doesn't want his identity.
Hell yeah.
Because he's like, I don't want this to be my entire life, And, he talks about Mark, and he doesn't say that he was abusive or anything like that. He just wasn't the best dad. It didn't sound like,
Yeah.
But I don't think that he was like an evil man. I really don't. I think he's a dipshit for sure. I think that he gets himself into these issues with law enforcement, like when they stole the furniture from the neighbors, and he's been in prison. He's been a drug informant.
Did he ever have that tumor removed?
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, and I don't know why I care, but
he's still alive. I know that. From John Douglas's description, he's bigger than I thought he was.
He's massive.
Douglas said he's 6'5", so he's a huge man.
Yeah.
And he's a total freaking weirdo. But I don't think he's a killer. I really do not believe he's a killer.
Yeah.
The Moors I've already addressed. The only person out of the entire bunch that I think has displayed violent tendencies is Terry Wayne Hobbs.
Mm-hmm.
We know, like I said, that he sexually assaulted a neighbor. And then
his daughter came out and said so.
Well, not really. That poor girl. She says that, I don't know. I think that's the Paradise Lost when she says, am I the only 19-year-old that has no memory of her childhood? Like, she's not come out and said. You can tell that she wonders, but it's like it's gone from her memory. The way that she acts and her significant struggles, obviously, with substance abuse, I think are key indicators.
So isn't there an outcry witness, though, that she told somebody he used to mess with her?
Pam's sister did say that. Pam's sister made that claim in court. That's in the court record. I think during that deposition is where that's at for the Natalie Main's lawsuit.
Okay.
I think is where that came out, where Pam's sister said that he sexually molested the daughter. I think for me, it's very believable that, I mean, he sexually assaulted the neighbor. I think that's unequivocal. There was a police report on it. I think that it absolutely happened.
Yeah.
The neighbor also testified that it definitely did happen, and she was very believable. She was not like a whack job. You could tell. Right. She was very well spoken. She seemed like a very smart lady, and she just said it exactly what happened. And if you're going to make up a story about your neighbor sexually assaulting you, they're going to finish the job. They're going to rape you.
Yeah.
She just said that he showed up in her house, grabbed her breasts, and when she started yelling at him, he left. That's not a made up story. Why would you make up shit like that? So I think that it's very likely that did happen.
You'd make it hold more weight than that.
Of course. Why not? If you're making it up, why not make it up really good? So any other outlying questions or just like, what? I mean, the one thing that I have a hard time with in all of the documentaries, pretty much 100% of them, the only places that I ever see this talked about are in the book Devil's Knot, which you haven't read, right?
No.
It's a really, really freaking good book about this case. And in John Douglas, in his writings and stuff about this case. And that is this freaking piece of shit probation officer, Jerry Driver, who nobody talks about how much he harassed Damien before any of this happened. For years, he had been harassing Damien. He sent him to mental institutions, had him locked up, and then the parents actually moved in. And Damien had a terrible life too. He when they moved into the trailer park, he said for the first time in his life, he didn't feel poor moving into a trailer park.
Yeah.
Because he could have a shower anytime he wanted to. I mean, what does that tell you about the life that this kid had?
Yeah.
Like, he feels like he's moving into a mansion when he moves into a trailer park. Like, this kid had a terrible freaking childhood. And at one time, his parents were in Oregon. He didn't want to be in Oregon. So he came back to West Memphis and went to the high school to try to sign up for school. And the high school said, you can't sign up for school without a parent. So he left. And Jerry Driver came and arrested him for
truancy.
For not living with his parents.
Yeah.
And then sent him back into the mental hospital. This went on for years. Jerry Driver absolutely harassed Damien Echols for years and years and years. And then it's rumor, but I've heard it said that when they pulled the boys out of the water, somebody on the scene said he finally did it. He finally did it. Damien Echols finally killed somebody.
I've heard that too, yeah.
And that would have been Jerry Driver. I'm sure it would have been Jerry Driver because he was convinced that, and he said, I was searching for Lucifer everywhere. Jerry Driver said that. He was absolutely convinced about this nonsensical freaking Satanism shit that was going on in West Memphis, Arkansas.
Yeah.
And this is like the peak of the Satanic Panic of the late 80s and early 1990s. And these boys were swept up in it. And I think it says, the other thing I wanted to talk about is it's unbelievable to me that the prosecuting attorney on the Alford plea, and I can't think of that freaking douchebag's name, but I don't like him either.
Yeah.
Because he actually said in a press conference that we had to basically get rid of this because those boys were going to get a new trial. We weren't going to be able to convict them. So the state of Arkansas was going to have to pay millions of dollars for wrongfully convicting them. So I had to accept the Alford plea so that the state wouldn't have to pay. That's like coming out and saying, we know that we jailed these boys for 18 years wrongfully, but we don't want to have to pay for that. So we had to come up with something.
When you said, do you want to know something else that'll piss you off? Is that what it was? Or was there something else? Because that pissed me off.
I don't know. There's so much.
It's like, because you don't want to pay wrongful.
Yeah.
What?
And I mean, I got to believe there are people shitting in their britches right now over this new DNA evidence being tested, because
there are.
If they come back
and they mess up,
if them boys are exonerated, they are going to be able to sue the shit out of the state of Arkansas. And I think they should. And I think that they should name the judge personally. I think they should name the prosecuting attorney personally. The freaking investigator should be named personally. That asshole, I can't think of his name, but he's the one that's like, how strong of a case on a scale of 1 to 10? How strong of a case?
That's Gwinnett.
That's not his name.
I think it is.
It's something like that, but it's not that.
Gwinnett, that last name.
Gitchell. Gary Gitchell.
Gitchell?
Yeah.
So what's Gwinnett then?
I have no idea. I don't think I've heard that name.
All right.
But yeah, Gary Gitchell, and he's like, it's an 11.
11.
And when
he did later say I was cocky when I said that.
Yeah, I might have overstated. But, an 11 on what exactly?
Yeah.
You have no evidence, no physical evidence whatsoever. At that time, absolutely none. Because they just arrested him. They had the confession. That was it.
Yeah, we have the badgered confession out of Miss Kelly.
And then the judge allowing the freaking prosecutor to use a grapefruit to show how the knife would leave wounds. And they don't show it, and I don't think they show it in any of the documentaries, but the defense strenuously objected to that and said, grapefruits are not scientifically used to imitate. And the judge was like, I'm going to allow it.
I'll allow it, whatever.
And the insane idea that somebody is going to use the back edge of a knife and like scratch some. That's not. People don't do that shit. Not ever do they. Never.
It's going to half-ass this murder,
I mean, it is so insane to me. And then Jason's mom testified that she threw that knife in the lake over a year before the murders took place. And I mean, it's just, this case is so insane. It's probably one of the most egregious cases of prosecutorial misconduct I've ever heard of, at least in the modern world. I think that the prosecutor, the investigators, I think they knew these boys didn't do it. Mm-hmm. I think they actually knew that they were railroading innocent kids. I know that sometimes investigators get like tunnel vision and they really feel like this is the killer. And I don't think that was the case here. I think that they honestly railroaded these kids on purpose. And that's a travesty of justice.
Because that guy wanted Damien Eccles so damn bad.
And this bunch of freaking incompetent lunatics had to solve the murder of 3 8-year-old boys. And they were absolutely incompetent to do so. So they had to get somebody.
Yeah. And they actually said that too. The town was looking at us to close this case.
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
All towns look at our law enforcement to close scary cases, but we would like them closed correctly.
100%. Yeah. I don't freaking want nobody going to jail when they're innocent, And I think that Jason's perspective on the offered plea, if there was any doubt in anybody's mind, him being like, kiss my ass, I am not doing this. I will die in prison before I say I did this. So
no. Loved Damien so much.
And the falling out that they've had it's just tragic. It
have
sucks.
Since then?
Yeah.
No, I haven't gone too far into now.
Apparently, and I don't know any of this, so it's not an accusation. It's just what I've read, that Lori and Damien pretty much took over all of the money that was raised from everything.
Cool.
And Jason is pretty much completely destitute. From what I understand, he's moved back to Arkansas. Jesse never left.
Yeah.
He's still living in Arkansas, and he has nothing to do with freaking anybody. In the forgotten West Memphis Three, the investigator visits a place, and he's like, we can't bring the cameras in here. Jesse will not have anything to do with it. And you can hear Jesse won't even come out. He's like in a room. He's like in a room at the end of the hall with the door shut, and you can hear the investigator be like, hey, Jesse, it's so-and-so. And I wanted your permission to test this DNA. And Jesse's like, I don't care what you do. That's fine with me.
Just get out of my house.
He wants nothing to do with any of this. He just wants to live his life.
Yeah.
And he's doing so. He went right back to West Memphis. I think he lives with his dad or couch surfs or something.
Did his dad leave that other wife that
bitch?
Yeah.
Oh, but she was rich.
Oh my. We were like, yeah, we don't like her. Because he was like, if he's innocent, she goes, no.
Well, no, is what the argument was. And I could see where she was coming from, but she was like, if he did this, we won't give him a nickel. And then Jesse Sr. was like, oh, yes, we will.
Fun.
And she's like, oh, no, we're going to have a problem about this. And I'm thinking when I'm watching that, I'm like, if this bitch will fight with him on camera like this,
oh yeah,
I cannot even imagine what she's like in private.
And then they made specific to pan on her when they were singing the happy birthday.
She was all snarling and bitchy. Yeah, she was freaking something else.
She's gotta go.
Yeah, she's something else. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to get something out because the DNA is been sent off, and I think it's a really exciting time.
Kind of like a prelude to, hey, we're gonna get to talk about more of this.
Yeah. And this case is going to be extraordinarily difficult to cover. I mean, it is such a massive case. And I mean, we've talked about this with other cases like the Maura Murray case and stuff. When there's so much information, you don't know what to include and not include.
Yeah.
And Maura Murray is a freaking drop in the bucket compared to the West Memphis Three case. I mean,
not in importance, but in
quantity.
Yeah.
Well, in quantity of what's out there.
I just wanted to make sure that we made that clear.
100%. Yeah. But no, as far as like, true crime wasn't really popular in 1993. Paradise Lost is the first that I'm aware of where the cameras were actually on scene during the original trial. I think they were groundbreaking in that.
And they were banned in the second one.
And I think that, so from 1993, you start having this evidence, but then you get like Harry Rollins, Johnny Depp, the Dixie Chicks, freaking Eddie Vedder, Metallica, all of these people and all of this money flowing in. And then the couple from New Zealand, I can't think of their name, but they became very, very much involved. And I think they're the ones that did the second and third Paradise Lost. But he was like the director of Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so, I mean, you're talking like big, huge Hollywood hitters, I mean, and Johnny Depp was intimately involved in West of Memphis, another movie. Did you watch it, West of Memphis?
No.
Yeah, so it's a movie that he was very involved in producing.
See, and that's what I was thinking, that he was involved in something, but when I got done with the Paradise Lost, other people were like, Johnny got involved because he watched Paradise Lost, and I was like, okay, so which one did he help fund? Because I knew that he helped.
It was West of Memphis.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was years after Paradise Lost.
Okay.
Yeah. It was after the Alford plea was accepted.
Oh, okay.
Actually. So
I'll have to go find that because there are pictures of him and Damien all over the place. Like,
oh yeah, him. Eddie Vedder visited Damien in prison multiple times. You know, I don't know to what degree Metallica was involved, but
they soundtracked the whole thing.
Well, that's where I was going with that. Is for those of you that are not huge Metallica fans like me, you might not realize this, but Metallica does not let their music be used for anything. Nothing. They never have. They probably never will. You'll never hear a freaking Metallica song on a commercial. You'll never hear a Metallica song on anything. Part of the reason for that is because they were blackballed by MTV. And so they were like, screw it. We'll do it our own way. And everybody can just F off. And so they don't ever let their music be used for anything. So to watch a movie where the entire soundtrack is Metallica is huge. I mean, is huge.
I myself singing a lot.
Yeah. And I don't know. I know that they donated money to the cause and stuff. They obviously.
Somebody have a concert? Sorry, I keep interrupting.
Harry Rollins orchestrated a huge concert with all kinds of different bands and stuff like that performing. Yeah. And if you don't know, he's the lead singer of Black Flag, and he's also an actor. He's been in several different movies, but you know, Hollywood just really jumped in with these kids, and they're the reason. Hands down. People like Eddie Vedder, Natalie Maines, Johnny Depp, those kind of people getting involved are the only reason that these boys are out. The state of Arkansas, they figured that they were going to usher these kids off to prison.
It would be quiet ever since.
Damien would be put to death. The other two would die in prison, and nothing would ever happen. And had HBO not made Paradise Lost, that's exactly what would have happened.
Yeah.
That's exactly what would have happened. And, you know, when you get to researching some of these cases, like I said, I'm freaking up to my ears in the Jennings 8 case right now, and I'm going to be for a while.
Well, that's a lot because you're a tall dude.
Yeah. Well, I'm way over my head on this one. And then, you know, how that ties into the Boys on the Tracks killing, which has also happened in Arkansas. And the corruption in these police departments across the southern states is really where it got out of hand. And I don't know, you just realize, like, you have this sense that the justice system works. And
I don't.
If it's used how it should, then it does. It will work. But you know, when you have somebody like this judge, it's Judge Barnett, the piece of shit. I think he's a senator now. I know he was elected to the Senate, thank God.
David Barnett, right?
Yeah. But when you have a judge like Barnett who has his thumb on the scale and he's going to make it come out the way that he wants it to come out, irregardless, then, well, that's not how our justice system was designed. And it's going to fail every time. And so this case and others like it is what causes this paradox in my brain when talking about the death penalty. Like, you know, you're talking about a piece of shit like Dale Wayne Eaton, and I'm like, fry him, I'll throw the switch. But then if you're at a place where an innocent man in 1993, and then I think that they were finally released in 2000 and something.
11?
Like 2000, yeah, something like that. Then, I mean, that's not very long ago. And we have a boy on death row who is, I think, unequivocally innocent. I don't know that anybody can make an intelligent argument that these boys were involved in any way. I think almost everybody outside of, like you said, Arkansas government and law enforcement comes out and says these boys are innocent. Like, it is a very clear-cut case of an innocent man being put on death row. And there's multiple cases. It's not the only one. And there's been multiple people put to death that were innocent.
Yeah.
It really does. It's like I said, it's this paradox in my brain. Like, I want to support and believe in the death penalty. And I want people like Dale Wayne Eaton and Ted Bundy. Like, it's a relief to me to know Ted Bundy is not on the face of this earth anymore. He was eliminated because he was so evil, he didn't belong in this society. I can get on board with that. But then there's the question of, and for me personally, if we execute one innocent person, that's too many. Like that cannot happen. There's no take backs.
Yeah,
with the death
you
penalty.
cannot unring that bell.
And there have been multiple people put to death that later were exonerated and proven that they were not guilty. Damien Echols would have been one.
Certainly would.
He would have been put to death, and then all of this shit would have later come out, and we'd be like, oh my God, what did we do? So I don't know. That's not an easy answer for that for me.
No.
But anything else that you want to talk about?
Else a second ago I was going to ask you, and I can't remember what it was.
What'd you think of David Jacoby? Because one of Jacoby's hairs was also identified at the scene.
See, I don't think he stood out enough to me because I don't even really remember him. I only really remember him as he was with me for a while, and then he left, and we played guitar, and then he was like, oh, you should go change and get a flashlight. I'm going to go change and get a flashlight, and we'll go look.
So I'm almost positive that this is in one of the Paradise Lost where John Douglas is talking to David Jacoby, and they have like the diorama of Robin Hood Hills and stuff in front of him. And Jacoby just starts bawling because he had seen Stevie abused by Terry Hobbs.
Huh. I don't remember that.
It could have. I've watched everything there is on this freaking case, so it might not have been one of those. It might have been West of Memphis, actually.
I also am the type that I need to watch things twice, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I picked that up. So
I'm pretty sure you would have remembered it. I bet it's in West of Memphis. I think it's in West of Memphis.
Well, I'm gonna go find that one. I don't know about tonight, but what else was I gonna ask you?
But, I think that John Douglas feels like Jacoby is absolutely innocent. There is that weird statement that I was telling you about from the guy where there's like the homosexual stuff going on and Jacoby's making out with Terry Wayne Hobbs. And I don't think anybody's heard that. It's not on any documentary that I'm aware of. I only know it because I found it and read it. And I was like, holy shit, this is new.
Yeah.
I never heard of this one before. But I just don't believe that this case has, and I'll use Griffiths, his word against him. I don't believe that this has the trappings of a murder committed by 4 people.
Yeah.
I think this is a single offender homicide. I really, really think this is a single offender homicide. It's very rare that multiple people would commit a crime like this.
Then I need to know who the Bojangles man is and what.
I don't think you're ever gonna know.
That wasn't my question though. What the hell was I gonna ask you?
So you really should watch The Forgotten West Memphis 3 because he gets a guy that was like ex-British Special Forces and brings him to the crime scene, and then this guy has to make his way to Bojangles to see if it was even possible to do it in the amount of time it would have had to be done in.
Yeah, but things are geography is a little different now. Like there's fences that weren't there before, and
yeah, but you just have to watch it. Their whole take is if you just murdered 3 boys, you're going to stay down close to the diversion canal and not be up where people can see you. So this guy makes his way all the way down there and everything. He swims the diversion canal because he had to have crossed it. And when he comes out on the other side, he's completely clean. There's no mud because going across the canal washed all the mud off of him. Mm-hmm. And so they were like, there's no possible way that this guy came up this way. So how he got all freaking covered in mud and shit, who knows? And, this is a major freaking interstate. Interstate 10 is a major interstate that goes across the southern part of the United States, And so it has all kinds of freaking transients and shit like that on it. The truck stop was right across the diversion canal. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's at least plausible that this guy got the shit kicked out of him or something like that. and made his way to Bojangles and went in there to try to freaking get the bleeding to stop and everything, because there's no evidence that the blood, we have no clue who the blood belongs to, but we don't know that it belongs to the boys. But the other problem that I have with that is, in order for the Bojangles guy to have killed him, he had to have killed him right there in Robin Hood Hills. And if he was covered in blood, where the hell else where's the rest of the blood?
Yeah.
Because he's not going to get covered head to toe in freaking blood, and then there's no blood at the scene.
Right.
I just think it's an odd coincidence. But that's my opinion.
Very coincidental. It happens.
It does happen. I mean, weird shit happens all the time. And having lived near an interstate, a major interstate, I-25, down near Denver, you see some of the strangest freaking people at those truck stops and shit on the interstates. Like, all kinds of weirdos congregate in those areas. So I don't know if it's that unusual, really, that something like that would happen. Just that it happened on the same night. They did show that he had plenty of time. I think it took that guy 17 minutes to get from the crime scene to Bojangles. I mean, it's a mile away. So it's not like it's very far at all. It's definitely possible, but I don't know. I think that, of course, I've said my opinion multiple times. I think it was somebody the boys knew. I think it had to be. Mm-hmm. And I think it was only one person. You know, it's so unbelievably rare that a group of people would kill 8-year-old boys in this fashion. I've never heard of anything like it. I know that, we've covered the Chicago Ripper Crew, which is a major outlier where a group was, kind of ritualistically killing women in Chicago. We know of pairs. There's been several pairs that have killed like this, but this doesn't strike me as a serial crime. This strikes me as a crime of anger. Somebody got really pissed off and it got out of hand, and then they had to get rid of a couple witnesses. I just think it has all the earmarks of that. I see absolutely zero ritualistic elements to this. I think that's so insane. It doesn't you can't hardly even bring that in the conversation. And although the boys were stripped, I don't see any sexual component to this crime either. I think that it was 100% anger that just somebody lashed out. I think that from all of the descriptions, even Mark Byers will say this, that Christopher Byers would have been the one that would have been like, I ain't listening to you. You're not my dad. Mm-hmm. I think that's very likely what happened. Somebody smacked him. Maybe he fell and hit his head or something like that. And then you do have to ask the other question is, I don't think the amount of faith that I have in these investigators, I don't believe you could fit in a thimble. Like, I have zero faith. Like I said, they went 2 months later. They're like, oh shit, the sticks. Maybe we should have kept those. And they go back out and gather up a couple. Like, you're talking about dipshits that took the bodies out of the water, didn't process the crime scene at all like they should have. And those are the ones that are telling us there was no blood anywhere. Yeah. For all I know, one of the boys, there was a tree out there that had a big old hunk of like skull tissue and hair and blood and shit on it. And they just didn't see it because they're dumb as shit. Yeah. If this was like a really well investigated crime and everything, I think you could say with confidence there was no blood found at the scene. With this bunch of freaking clowns running the show, this is a bunch of morons that say, oh yeah, it was definitely occultic and it was ritualistic and
it's okay to take a statement through a drive-up window.
Right. You're talking about this bunch of dipshits.
I hope she has trouble sleeping every night.
I don't think she gives a shit. I don't think any of these people have a hard time sleeping because they think what they did was right.
Disgusting.
But so I don't know that there was no blood at the scene.
Yeah.
I know there wasn't like copious amounts of blood because it would have been seen. But
Yeah.
I also have to say that I'm a hunter. I've hunted my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
I have followed blood trails of animals that were bleeding heavily.
Mm-hmm.
And you really got to search. Like, it falls on the ground and it almost disappears.
Right.
And now they have those special lights that
Low-
illuminate.
yeah.
It illuminates blood. But, at the time, if we're not talking about like a body being drained of blood, and these boys were not,
No.
there's no evidence of that. We're talking about, a standard head wound bleed in the woods, and nothing saying that it had to have occurred right at the bank of the creek. It could have been, 25 yards away.
Mm-hmm.
I am not at all convinced that this bunch of dipshits thoroughly searched that entire woods.
Yeah.
I've never heard a single, I'm almost 100% certain that there was never a grid search done of this tiny little half-acre patch of woods, which absolutely blows my mind.
Yeah.
Because before the boys were found, and especially after the boys were found, there should have been a grid search done of those entire woods.
Yep.
Now, if you're talking about a huge 500-acre patch, then you do a grid search for, 100 yards every direction, whatever, and you do a grid search of that because you're looking for evidence that might be there. Maybe somebody was running from the scene and dropped their wallet. Who the hell knows?
Right.
But I don't think it ever happened. I've never heard any discussion of it. I've read all kinds of the police reports and the documents surrounding this case. I've never heard anybody talk about it. So unless we know for a fact that those boys were killed right where they were found, and I don't mean back at somebody's house, I mean, they could have easily been killed 10, 15, 20 yards back into the woods and taken to the water to dispose of, which makes perfectly logical sense to me.
Well, and two of them didn't complete death until drowning, right?
All three of the boys drowned.
Okay, I heard one didn't.
All three of the boys drowned.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's made it extremely clear in the Forgotten West Memphis Three, because he takes the autopsy reports to a medical examiner and has her review everything. And she confirms that the cause of death, as she agrees, the cause of death for all three boys was drowning because of the frothy material found in their lungs.
Okay.
And then she also says that every wound other than the head wounds looks to her like it was post-mortem. She doesn't think that any of the ritualistic injuries were ante-mortem.
Okay.
So all three of the boys were alive when they were thrown in the water. And, I think it's very reasonable to assume you've just killed these three boys in the woods. Now we got to get rid of the body. Where does it make most sense? Oh, we can put it in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got to carry three little 8-year-old boys, 10, 15, 20, 50 yards, that's not a huge undertaking. And you're in the woods under the cover of the woods. So it's not like you wouldn't do something like that. So when all the conversation is about there's no blood there, we only know for a fact that there's no blood on the banks of that creek.
Yeah.
We don't know that there was no pools of blood in the whole Robin Hood Hills forest area.
True.
So I don't know, but it's an insane case.
Very much.
And I think what I was getting to a little bit earlier is I want to do a deep dive into this case. I think it would be responsible for us to wait now until we find out what happens with the DNA results.
Yeah.
And then, when I was talking about it before and got sidetracked is, that's
probably my fault.
No, it wasn't, I don't think. But, like the Maura Murray case had a lot of information. I talked about that during the case. And this case, and it's a baby compared to this. Like, this case is so enormous. There's been 4 major motion pictures made about this case.
Yeah.
Well, no, 5, because Devil's Knot is. Have you watched that one?
No.
So Devil's Knot is a movie about it. It's not a documentary. It's a movie about the case. It's based on the book Devil's Knot, which is a freaking really, really good book. But so 5 major motion pictures made on this. And then I couldn't even begin to guess how many podcasts and
oh man,
lower budget documentaries. And then you have, like I said, the Forgotten West Memphis Three. That's a 3-part special. You said there was an ID mystery one. I'm sure I've seen that, but I mean, so you're talking about so much information, and there's been so many FOIA requests submitted for this, and so much information now is out in the public. Like I said, you can pull up all kinds of court records. Then you have the whole lawsuit between Terry Hobbs and Natalie Maines, and that whole deposition, which brought out all kinds of new shit. And so it's like trying to drink from a fire hose. There's so much information. You're like, son of a bitch. This is going to be like a 75-part freaking series.
How do I start? Where do I end? What's happening?
How do I not include everything? But you can't include everything because the listeners are going to get tired of, we're just going to have to be the West Memphis 3 podcast for a year. I mean,
well, some podcasts do that.
They do, yeah. But, so I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I know we'll be covering the case because I've researched it for so long and I'm passionate about the case. It's a case we definitely are going to cover. I got to figure out how. And I don't think I want to cover it now until the DNA evidence is back, because
that could be months.
It could be. I mean, it goes so much faster now than it did. But
if they wanted to.
Well, it's in a private lab.
Okay.
So it's not, the state of Arkansas is not processing it. It has been sent to a private lab. So they'll go through, I don't think it'll take that long. And what it's going to show, who the hell knows?
Yeah.
I don't know how the evidence has been handled over the last, 25, 30 years.
We should take a look at key players that are still alive now that this information is out. And what are they doing? Are they scurrying? Are they sitting back? Are they comfortable? We need to take a look at that.
Yeah, if I was to guess, and this is just my opinion, Terry Wayne Hobbs is shitting his britches right now.
Yeah, we should watch him.
Yeah.
How do we watch him? Let's find Terry Wayne Hobbs.
Yeah, I don't know where he's at these days. I really don't. He's still alive. He's still around. Mark Byers is still alive. He's remarried to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. From what I understand, to a pretty good woman. John
keeps him grounded.
Yeah, I mean, John Douglas had a lot of good stuff to say about her, and really he had a lot of good stuff to say about Mark Byers, which speaks volumes, because I mean, if he felt Mark Byers was a creepy bastard, you would say so.
Yeah.
So
he's just off though.
He's a freaking weirdo. There is no doubt about that. He's a weirdo.
Sorry, he's just off. We're all off in our own ways, but most of us don't spout it in the forest in front of a documentary team.
Right.
So,
but I mean, where a lot of my hope is that we're able to get answers in this case while Mark Byers, the Moores, and Pam Davis, I think, I'm almost positive.
I feel like you're right too.
Is Pam Davis, while they're still alive.
Yeah.
I want to give them, I'm personally, I can't, but I want them to have the answer to what happened to their baby boys before they die,
Yeah.
And I think that every parent that...
I mean, Melissa knows now, but she had to die to do it. So.
Right, yeah. And I think every parent that loses a child, that's like their one big hope, is that they'll have an answer, before they go. So, I don't know. Are you familiar? We talked a little bit about the Bardstown cases. That Crystal Rogers,
Oh, yeah. Okay. Brooks.
Yeah, you know that he was convicted and all that kind of shit. But the only reason I brought that up is because I was thinking about Terry, her dad, who I think was murdered.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. Did you know that his sister disappeared?
No.
Yeah, his sister disappeared.
So,
and then
Crystal's aunt?
Correct.
Okay.
They searched for her for years and years and years and years. Finally found her body. Well, her dad said that they got enough back to fit in a cigar box because her husband burned her and buried her, and then
so completely separate creepo.
Totally unrelated.
Wonderful.
And we're talking years and years and years and years and years before. What are the freaking odds? And then his daughter, the same thing. And then him, he was absolutely murdered. I have no doubt about it.
He knew too much. He was in the wrong place. And,
and like the sheriff's deputy, I don't know where he fits in, but I think he's involved. Not involved. I think that he was killed by the same group of shitheads. I don't know. It's just, that's another freaking case. But yeah, I mean, I don't know why I brought that up, but you know, that was very recent that they finally convicted that son of a bitch, you know? And then I hope that not only that the parents in the West Memphis Three case get the answers that they need, I want the son of a bitch that did it, no matter who it is. If it's not Terry, fine. I don't have an axe to grind. I don't give a shit who it is.
It doesn't have to be Terry. We just want to know who.
And I want the son of a bitch to be alive so that he can go to freaking prison and have all the terrible shit happen to him that happened to the innocent boys that were put in prison, because their life was terrible in prison. I mean, they, you know, both Jesse's never really come out and talked at all. Both Jason and Damien have talked about being raped and having the shit kicked out of them time and time and time again because they were child killers. And I mean, it was not
Damien was not taken care of medically for anything that actually needed medical assistance because they were just going to kill him anyway.
Yeah, medically, Damien really suffered. His eyesight was really bad, and I think he has like all lifelong medical problems that stem from his time in prison.
Because they were just going to kill him anyway, so why take care of him?
Right. And I mean, you know, prisons by nature.
Well, and I get that if it's legit, but when it's not, it's so heartbreaking.
It is. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying that it's okay. I'm just saying that by nature, prisons don't have top-notch medical care.
No.
You know? And then, so I don't know. It's a tragic freaking story. It's one that I hope we're getting some answers to soon. I know that I've kind of been pushing you to watch Paradise Lost for a while, so I was excited that
I texted him, I'm watching the one. What? Yes, you are?
I had no idea that you were gonna.
About 3 hours later, still watching them.
But it's one of those where once you watch one, you like, oh, you can't stop.
No,
you just gotta keep going. You gotta keep going.
It helped that it was on the HBO platform, and it just said upcoming. Do you want to watch or stop? And I was like, whatever.
Yep.
Let's keep going. If they're gonna show it, I'm gonna watch it. So,
well, the Forgotten West Memphis 3 is on Amazon Prime. I know. And West of Memphis is, but you might have to buy it. I'm not sure on that one. I own all of them on Amazon, so I never really know where I'm watching. Yeah, I've watched them all. At least once a year, I do the whole thing. I watch all of them at least. I just get this West Memphis kick at least once a year, and I go through all the stuff I can freaking consume on the West Memphis 3 all over again, even though I know most of it all by heart.
That was my post-Thanksgiving was...
Yeah, well, it's a good one.
Binging West Memphis stuff.
And so for any of the listeners out there that love true crime and somehow don't know about this case, there's a lot of great information. And if you're more of a reader, Devil's Knot is a phenomenal read. Really, really great book. And it really dives into Damien's...
the movie first, because it always pisses me off if I go the other way.
Yeah, and the movie cuts off a lot of what I was going to say Devil's Knot does, and that is the history of Damien Echols before all of this.
Okay.
And the shit that Jerry Driver put that orchid through before all of that. And John Douglas talks a little bit about it, but Devil's Knot really goes deep into setting the scene with this piece of shit just harassing this kid for years beforehand. So,
plus, while I'm up to my eyeballs in crochet projects that I brought upon myself, reading is not a thing that I can do, but I can watch a movie while I'm doing it.
This is true, but Devil's Knot is available on audio.
Sometimes I don't like their voices. I'll have to find somebody to read it to me.
Yeah, I can't remember who does the Audible version of Devil's Knot, but it was good. It was good. And the guy that does all the John Douglas books on Audible, I don't know who he is, but he's the same narrator for all the John Douglas books.
That's the way it should be.
He's really good.
You start with one, you should just record them all with the same person.
Yeah, especially when you're as prolific of a writer as John Douglas is, because there are so freaking many.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, God, I don't even know how many books he's written. I've read several of them, but there's tons left that I need to read. So,
you know what else? I'm just going to sidetrack just a tiny bit. Well, this is just a conversation episode.
That's allowed.
It has absolutely nothing to do with West Memphis 3.
Okay.
But we are going to have to do an update on Chance.
100% we are. Yeah. I was waiting to see it. And, if you don't know what Angela's talking about, we covered Chance Engelbert on an episode. His remains were recently found, were recently identified using DNA, and it was an accident.
Yeah, they're ruling it as a fall.
A fall.
Accident, yeah.
And I got to say, when they originally found, it's kind of funny because I go to physical therapy and all the physical therapists there are like, oh, John's here. Now we got to talk about true crime shit.
I love that.
And so...
do they listen? Do you say
some of them?
Do you need to say hi to them? Come on.
Well, if they're listening, hi to all my physical therapist friends. But and they were like, "What do you think?" I think the in-laws murdered him, and I'm like,
I thought so too for the longest time.
And I said, when I saw where the body was found, I immediately said, "This is an accident." I thought struck by lightning. He was out there. We know it was storming that night.
Yeah.
I immediately just thought he was probably struck by lightning. That turns out I was wrong. But
I also thought, didn't somebody say they already looked there?
I don't know. I don't believe that they searched there. I mean, the search for him was extensive, but he walked a long freaking ways. He walked from Gehring to Scotts Bluff.
Yeah.
And that where his body was found, sounds like he was trying to walk to Torrington. Why he was where he was is a huge mystery, because he would have had to have swam across a canal to access the area that he was found in. So it's odd, but it's less odd than the idea that somebody is going to backpack a 26-year-old male's body up there because they can't drive to it.
Yeah.
So they would have had to have carried, and he was not a little kid.
Well, and if he swam across something, there are animals up there. He could have been trying to get away from something.
He could have. I don't know why he did what he did, but he was walking to Torrington. He made that very clear. He was walking to Torrington. I said it in his episode. I can relate to this kid. I was this kid.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 25, 26 years old, I was a freaking hothead. And if I got pissed off enough, I would have said, I will walk to Torrington, which I think is 37 miles away. And I would have freaking took off. And by God, I would have made it to Torrington.
Yeah.
Or I would have been found, after I'd been missing for years and dead. But I think the most logical, even though it's hard to believe, the most logical conclusion is the one that the cops came to, that he was trying to climb something to get to Torrington. He fell and either laid there and died or died and as a result of as a result of the fall, I haven't heard anything about that.
I hope immediately.
Oh God, me too. My heart goes out to the family. I'm glad that they finally have his remains and they can lay him to rest. And
that little boy.
And I gotta say, my heart breaks for his wife and her family, because I thought they've
been
did something. I mean,
for years. Yeah.
You know, when we covered the case, I was pretty clear that I didn't think it was them. I thought it was probably most likely that he was picked up by like drug dealers or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that it was likely that his body was still laying out there. I was obviously totally wrong, but I didn't think he would make it all the way to Scotts Bluff.
I know.
So I was talking more about the Gehring area, but he made it a long ways.
You did.
But my point is, these people have had their names run through the mud for years.
Yeah.
And like the West Memphis Three, they were wrongfully accused of a crime that they did not commit. And it's a tragedy. It's a real tragedy. My heart goes out to everybody involved in that case.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's just terribly sad. And I'm glad that they have answers, but they don't have their son, their husband, their daddy back, and they never will. And it's just a tragedy all the way around.
Yeah.
So, but there's that update. I was thinking that we had a couple different updates, but maybe it was the West Memphis, but that wouldn't have been an update because we haven't covered that case yet. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, either.
But do you have anything else to add? Anything else you want to talk about?
I do not, except for the fact that I do enjoy this platform.
It's kind of fun, isn't it?
So occasionally, if you want to do these, I'm down.
Cool. Well, we've tried to do something similar, but trying to get you to actually watch the shows that we want to talk about is difficult. So if you want to watch the shows, I mean, the Jennings 8, I guess it's no secret. I've decided I'm writing a book on the case because...
Well, it was a secret to everybody but me until just now.
Yeah, but I mean, I made it clear that I was doing a very deep dive.
Okay.
It is
but you deep dive everything.
Not like this. I mean, I've written, I think I'm around 70,000 words right now, and I still have a lot left to go. So, a huge deep dive into the Jennings 8 mess. And so that's one that you could watch the stuff, Murders in the Bayou. Very good. Very freaking good. A guy by the name of Ethan Brown wrote the book Murders in the Bayou, and then they did a multi-part series. I think there's 5 parts to it. There's a couple. There's another one, and I can't remember what it is called, but another documentary on it. There's not very much out there on the case. Very little, actually. If it wasn't for Ethan Brown's work, there'd be next to nothing.
No.
But, just real quickly, 8 women were murdered between 2002 and 2009, I think, in Jennings, Louisiana. And we're talking about a county with a population of 30,000 people. A county. So we're talking a tiny, and for them to have that many homicides over that course of time, it's unreal. And then, I mean, you think that the West Memphis 3 case pisses you off. The Jennings 8 case...
Well, a lot of cases piss me off.
Jennings 8 is going to piss you off more than probably anything you've ever heard. I mean, the jailers at the Jefferson Davis County Jail were running a sex trafficking ring where they were trafficking the female inmates out to other male inmates and even taking them out of jail to sell them to people outside of jail.
Wonderful.
They one of the head investigators on the case bought the vehicle that one of the victims was last seen in. He bought the vehicle from an inmate, cleaned it, and sold it to somebody in California, a vehicle that likely was involved in a murder. Evidence disappears. They would freaking they would make these huge drug busts, lay all the drugs out on the table, take pictures like they always do. And then like one brick would be put into evidence. All the rest would be taken and sold out on the street by the cops. The corruption in this case is next level, like nothing I've ever come across. So that's one you could do. We could talk about that one for hours. The Boys on the Tracks case.
You're gonna have to text all these to me.
Fahmy Malik, one of the dumbest pieces of shit. He's a medical examiner that was on the Boys on the Tracks case. This is the guy that a guy was shot 6 times in the chest. No gun was found on the scene. He ruled it a homicide. Another guy was found dead, decapitated. His head was missing. Fahmy Malik ruled it natural causes, and then said that his dog ate his head, and it was
now have to worry about spontaneous decapitation.
And the dog was like a Chihuahua, and he said that he tested the dog's excrement and found brain tissue in it, so the dog ate the head. Well, too bad for Fahmy Malik. They found the head in a dumpster later. I mean, this guy is the worst medical examiner in the history of medical examiners. And
clowns.
Bill Clinton fought like hell till he finally got him a $32,000 a year raise. And there's all kinds of information about how Fahmy Malik kept Bill Clinton's mom from being prosecuted. So Fahmy Malik then just had a free pass to do whatever in the hell he wanted in Arkansas. So, yeah, I mean, we can go on and on. There's all kinds of shit, but I agree. This is a really fun platform. It's very laid back. It's kind of like a darker version of Shadow Chats.
Yeah.
Not as funny, but just laid back and just kind of bullshit. And so hopefully the listeners enjoy it as much as we enjoy doing it. So
I hope so too.
But I guess that's where we're going to leave it for today.
All right.
So this wasn't obviously one of our usual deep dive breakdowns, and it wasn't meant to be. This case is way too big, way too tangled, and too historically polluted with bad assumptions to try to rush anything. When we come back to the West Memphis Three,
that's hard to say.
West Memphis Three, yeah, I know. When we come back to the West Memphis Three in a formal series, it'll be with every document read, every timeline rebuilt, and every piece of evidence examined in the way that it always should have been, and hopefully with new DNA evidence and stuff. And so, but for now, we hope that this conversation gave you something to think about, whether you're new to the case or you've been following it since 1993. And as the new DNA testing moves forward in the coming months, we're going to be keeping an eye on it. And if the case cracks open again, you'll be the first to hear about it here. And if you want to support the work that we do across the Dark Dialogue Network, the research, the investigations, the storytelling, hit follow on whatever platform you're listening on. Leave us a rating or a review. It helps more than you could possibly know. Subscribe to us on our YouTube channel for the full-length episodes, behind-the-scenes updates, and any new video series that we might be rolling out. Join the Dark Dialogue Collective if you want to help with on-the-ground search and advocacy. And if you want to support the show directly, check out our membership tiers and bonus content on Patreon and on Ko-fi and on Substack. You can always reach us with tips, thoughts, theories, or case ideas. Just send an email to info@darkdialogue.com. And you can follow us on Facebook. I don't know, you're the social guru, or where are we?
We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. I need to keep up with TikTok. Thanks for calling me out, John.
You bet. Well, I follow the same thing. We are on X, but same problem. I'm not good at social media shit. So, but Facebook, we do post quite a bit on Facebook. Oh, yeah. So that's our primary platform where you can find us. And with that, thank you all for listening. And as always,
stay safe, everybody.
And keep the dialogue alive.